I'm Kim Caldwell, and this is Hurray Kimmay TV, the people, places, products, and projects that make you say, hooray! Today I've got a really cool guest. Her name is Trina from That's So Trina. Trina is a whiz with a sewing machine, but even if you're a novice, you're going to love this DIY project today. If you've ever wondered what to do with those extra 2 yards of fabric hanging around the house or in the discount bin, this one's for you. Also, I'll be getting up close and personal with the sewing machine with the help of my Kimmay Cam, otherwise known as my smartphone. All this and more coming up on the next episode of Hurray Kimmay TV. Hi Trina!
Hey!
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited. I am a really basic sewer, so I think this project's perfect for me, and I'm really excited to get started. But before we get started, tell me, what exactly are we making?
We are going to be making an infinity scarf. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite things. There's only 3 seams, so it's super easy. And since it's getting cold outside, this is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
The holidays are coming up too, so
it's a really easy gift to make for someone in last minute. So before we dive into actually making it, what do we need to get started?
All right. Well, first you're going to need to pick out your fabric. You're going to need about a half a yard, and that's going to give us enough to wrap around our neck twice comfortably. And just remember, whatever you start with, we're going to be starting with half a yard, so that's about 18 inches.
Okay.
It's going to finish in half at 9 inches.
Okay.
So just make sure you can take, I always like to have a measuring tape, and I can wrap it around myself twice just to see, you know, is it going to be a little too tight, or maybe I want an extra long one. And I can measure and then see, oh, that's 57 inches.
Cool.
But a half a yard is great. Perfect amount to start with.
And that's a really small amount.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of fabric do you suggest that we pick for this?
Well, today I'm using a crushed velvet. It's really soft.
Yeah, I love this.
It's got a little sparkle to it. And it's a little crinkly too, so even better for beginners. It hides a little bit of your stitches. But there are so many options. Behind me, I have a couple of polyester chiffon fabrics. They're so cute. Another really fun chiffon.
Yeah, I love this print.
Yeah. And there's so many kinds of prints out there. The possibilities are.
This one has to be my favorite though.
It's so slinky. I don't even know what this material is. I found it in like the bargain bin at a local fabric store, and it's like the perfect weight. It's slinky. It's got a great design. It's fantastic.
Love this. Cool. And where are your favorite places to find fabric?
Well, I always love going to anything local. So whenever I'm traveling, I like to go to the local fabric store. In New York, obviously, there's Fashion Row, so which can be bonkers sometimes.
Yeah,
but,
it's like rows and rows and rows of fabric.
Yeah, so maybe not so much if you're just getting just like a little sliver, but they also sometimes have like remnant bins that you can just get a piece, and it's perfect for this project.
And really cheap.
And really cheap. But one of my favorite big box stores, yes, I do shop at them, are Joann Fabrics.
I love them. I mean, I've
Awesome.
heard with Joann Fabrics, they're everywhere. They're really easy for
everywhere.
everybody to go to.
Coupons, I love it.
Awesome. So, cool. So our first thing we need is our fabric. What else do we need to get started?
All right, scissors, so you can cut the exact length that you want.
Cool.
Of course, a sewing machine. You can even do this if you have the patience by hand. If you don't have a sewing machine, just use a needle and thread. But we have a machine right here, so we're going to use our machine with matching thread in the top and bobbin to match our fabric.
And shout out to my mom. This is my mom's machine from like a million years ago, handed down to me. So thanks, Mom. Keep sewing.
And then pins as well.
Cool.
To keep everything in place.
Great. So. All right. So our very first step. How do we get started?
All right. So I've already gone ahead and cut my fabric to the length and width that I want. So I would lay it out right side up. That means this pretty side is facing me. I would take it, and Kim, if you want to take that, and I'm going to fold it lengthwise in half.
Cool.
So right sides together. Now, slinky fabric, you know, it takes a little bit to line up those edges right here, but you're going to take them, line them up, take your pins. Where are my pins? Where did they go? And pin down that whole length of the fabric. And I've gone ahead and skipped ahead and already done this step for us so you can see.
Perfect.
So if you hold that up, we have
So pretty sides together.
Pretty sides together.
All the way down the long side.
And the long side.
Okay.
And then we're ready to sew our first side.
I'm gonna get my Kimmay cam in here and
Love
let's
it.
get sewing.
Okay. Now, you want to put your presser foot down and then just drop your needle. And you can take out those pins along the way. You know, and you can see mine aren't even lined up perfectly, but that's A-okay. Back stitch a little and just keep straight stitching. I have like a 2.5 stitch length on my machine. This is what I love about this project too, because the seam is going to be hidden, so mine aren't even lined up perfectly.
And you were telling me this is a little bit different than a traditional infinity scarf. What do you mean by that?
Well, it only has 3 seams, and that's what I love, and it makes it so easy. Usually an infinity scarf will take the 2 ends and sew it together, so it's actually like hollow. It's a big long tube. But we're going to sew the seams together at the end, so it's closed and then it goes around. But it doesn't even matter because you're going to wrap it around your neck.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love something even more easy?
Yes.
So.
I think this is a great project for someone who's just starting. So I know you're a really creative person, but how did you actually get started in sewing?
Well, you know, my mom taught me some basics when I was young, and then I didn't even sew until I got older, and I'm really, really short, and I have to hem everything. So it was just for practical reasons. I didn't want to spend $20 every time I bought a pair of pants to get hemmed, so I started borrowing a friend's machine to hem them, and then someone gave me a really basic machine for Christmas, my husband, yay! And then I started making more things that you just needed a straight stitch with. Curtains, pillows for the house, then sundresses because I wanted more bang for my buck, and I couldn't afford to spend money on dresses all the time, so I started making them.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of your dresses too. They're actually really, really beautiful and really well done. So obviously this is a really simple project, but you have a lot more experience. What are your favorite kinds of projects to make yourself?
Well, as you know, I'm in love with quilting. And it's kind of funny, if you would have told my teenage self that I would have been a quilter when I was older, I would have never believed you. But
by older, we're in our 20s here. People,
I know.
And I feel like quilting to me, no offense, is kind of an older person's project. How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep it young?
You know, there's a big resurgence of quilting and modern quilters, and you know, textiles are so popular now.
Yeah.
And it really, depending on the quilter and their designs, can be something that's fresh and exciting and totally practical. It's a quilt. You snuggle with it, you put it on your bed.
They make great gifts.
And they make wonderful gifts. And that's how I got started. I made a memory quilt for my mother and my mother-in-law for Christmas. Made it once, I was hooked. And I've been doing it ever since.
And that's where That's So Trina came from.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So
we're finishing up here.
This seam. Perfect. So we've sewn our straight seam. We have not sewn the short end shut. Don't sew them shut because we're gonna reach in now and pull it right side out.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
This is so pretty.
Thanks. So now, as you can see, we have the seam right here. And I love it because it disappears into the fabric. We're gonna hold that so that seam is facing up toward us.
Right in the middle?
Right down the middle.
Great.
Get it nice and straight so it's about even on both sides. You know, it's smack in the middle.
And obviously we're working on our laps here, but most of the time we should be working on like a flat, even surface.
You're correct. A table, you know, in my New York City apartment for years, I would just get on the floor sometimes and lay things out because that's the best
Wherever
space
you have the room.
Exactly. All right, so then our seam is in the middle. We're gonna fold it together so the short ends meet. And the seam should be right in that middle. So if Kim's holding that, you can see, you can take a peek. There it is, right here. Now, we have to pin this nice and shut.
I'm gonna get my Kimmay cam.
Yeah. Get a nice close-up of that. We're gonna pin it straight across, line up those edges. And I think it's always a good idea, don't be embarrassed to pin away. It's just gonna help you. You never wanna have to go back and pick out stitches, that's no fun. So use as many pins as you would like. I have a little piece of thread here, just gonna trim that off. All right, now seam number 2. We're gonna put this back in. It's always a good idea to backstitch so you get a little bit more reinforcement.
So a lot of the things that we're doing today are really basic, but they do take some knowledge. For someone who's just starting, where do you think is the best place for them to get some of this knowledge?
Online.
Yeah.
It's amazing the resources that are on YouTube, the tutorials. There's amazing blogs that have a lot of sewing basics and more advanced projects as you go along.
Do you feel like you need to be in person with someone, or can you really learn by yourself online?
You know what? I learned to quilt by myself online.
Wow.
Just from watching, and I watch videos every day.
That's awesome.
But it is nice to get together with a real human person so you can troubleshoot. And I think sometimes if you just want to invite friends over and start and learn together, that way you can say, oh, this isn't working, did this work for you? And really, that's kind of what it's all about. Is being able to actually make something by hand that you did and is special for you. And that you can say, oh yeah, I made this. It's really nice.
I like giving handmade gifts too. I think it's a special way, especially if you don't have the funds to spend on a lot of people. Taking the time to say, hey, I made this for you. I thought of you. I picked the fabric out just for you.
And time is very special.
Yes.
People's time. So that's a really important thing.
Yes, I agree.
So now,
cool. Next up,
we have our seam sewn, and we have all these ugly raw edges sticking out. So we're gonna be turning it again and sewing another seam to enclose it, and it's called, a little fancy, it's called a French seam.
Ooh la la!
Yeah. So, but the thing is with the French seam, you and it's hard to see if you want to get your Kimmay cam up in here because our thread is matching, but you want to trim down that edge close to the seam without cutting through the threads that you just sewed. We want to reduce the bulk.
Makes sense.
Boom.
Beautiful.
And trim your threads. Don't want any of those guys hanging out. Now, we're going to turn it so the nice sides and the seam that we had in the middle is facing out again.
So it's hidden. I love that.
You're going to roll it back and forth so you can feel that seam, so you can get it nice and snug, and then pin one more time. Roll it back and forth. Pin all the way down. And this just makes a nice clean finish. And this is the part, Kim, when you asked about this little variation on the infinity scarf, some people leave this open. This is the seam they leave open, so it actually continues to be hollow inside. But we're just gonna sew a seam. It's gonna be quick and fast and easy. Cool. So one more seam and we're all finished. So this one you wanna get back stitch for sure at the beginning of this one because this is our last finished seam.
And I feel like the more you make something like this, the faster this project will become.
Definitely. Oops, and you know what? Our thread snuck out the top, and that happens sometimes. So you just rethread it.
I know I looked up some YouTube videos on how to rethread my machine when I needed some help, but I ended up actually calling Trina for her help because it is, it's like a little harder than I anticipated. It's easy once you learn how to do it and remember how to do it, but I did need your help.
And all machines are different too, so you always want to refer back to your manual. And this happens sometimes. Thread, pops out.
And we're back.
And I'll show you a little trick that sometimes I forget to do, and then I remember. Hold the thread ends, then start sewing. That way it doesn't just sneak out. And then you can continue sewing down the line. Just make sure it's nice and smooth so you don't have any bulk.
So I'm excited to finish this one, but I'm also really excited to try out some of these scarves. So I'm actually going to take some of these and tell you how to style them with a couple of different outfits, some variations, even some really cool brooches, and a couple of accessories to add to it.
Gorgeous.
I think these are so simple and they're such an easy way to glam up any outfit. It's almost like adding a really pretty necklace.
Yeah, totally.
So go to hurraykimmay.com to get those really cool style tips.
Nice. All right, so there we are. We're finished. We have our finished seam. We're just going to turn it so that both seams are hidden. And voila.
Let's see it.
A fabulous, fabulous scarf.
Love it. Love it!
So cozy. Feel this.
It's really soft.
It's
it
adorable.
Looks really great. And like with this kind of monochromatic outfit that you had going on here, instant pop of style. I love it. Trina, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to style these. Stay tuned for more.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Happy sewing.
That's it for this episode of Hurray Kimmay TV. Thank you so much for joining us. For more information, visit hurraykimmay.com and visit Trina's Etsy shop at That's So Trina. And don't forget to tweet at me and tell me what makes you say hooray. Have a great day.